Yeah. Well, listen, I certainly appreciate you taking a few minutes. For those that are kind of joining us or listening in at some point in time, right? This is just our kind of podcast type series, right? What we're trying to do here is go through those who we've had the opportunity to work with in the past, get to know you guys a little bit more. This is a great way for me, to be honest, to get to know all of the projects, the ins and outs, the things that we've worked together on. And it's super casual, super exciting, but that's it, right? So we're looking forward to hearing any sort of honest learnings and feedbacks and all that kind of stuff that you've gathered over your time. But before we do any of that, tell us about you. Tell us about X Agency, what you're doing.
Cool. So, I won't go too deep into what I do because it's about you guys, not about me. But marketing is sort of something I've been doing. I personally have been in the marketing world since 2008.
Yeah.
Um, I graduated college in 2008. I really I did horrible in school, by the way, so I got kept back in high school. Almost flunked out of college, and when I graduated, I really didn't know what to do, right? So I rolled the dice. I went to Google. I typed in how to get rich online, and the first thing that came up was marketing. It was the Warrior Forum back in the day, and it was marketing, online marketing. So throughout my for I'd say over 2 to 3 years, I started learning marketing, doing web dev, running Google Ads back in the day when it was still the Wild Wild West. Facebook just started, and I was doing it for about 2 years. Doing all this stuff on my own, I gained experience for it. So started entry level at a marketing job, but just so that everyone is clear, it wasn't my end; it was sort of a means to an end. Right? I still knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I still wanted to do my thing, but I need to pay my bills. So entry level agency. But because I love marketing so much and I've learned so much on my own time and I still do stuff on my own side, I quickly got promoted at the company, right? So within 5 years, I built up my network. I was the lead strategist at the company, running the large accounts. I mean, at that point, I had my side clients. I was making a good chunk of change. And then I decided to do something crazy and, start it all over again, which was, all right, let me quit this job and run a full scale agency, right? So it went from doing great to doing that. And by that point, everyone was asking me the same question, which was like, Darwin, are you stupid, right? Like, why would you do that when you're doing so well right now? You're in a great position. You have these side clients. It's like your life is going great. But for me, it was like, well, I want to be true to myself. I want to be authentic. So I'm not going to continue doing what I don't want to do, which is where X Agency came from, right? And a lot of the values that I got personally is what I bring towards X Agency as well. So X Agency, I think, was started with 2018, something like that. I don't even know anymore. Started with 3 folks, but we have grown tremendously. We're in the Inc. 5000. We're at, I don't even know right now, maybe 22-ish full-time and then maybe 10-ish part-time-ish folks, right? So we're growing. It's not crazy exponential growth, but we have been growing year over year. It was at triple-digit rates until more recently when the economy's been down. We're a full-scale marketing agency. I guess the big difference about X Agency itself is, when I left my old agency, I left for a couple of reasons. There were a couple of holes that I saw that a new agency sort of could plug in and fix, right? At majority of agencies, what normally ends up happening is because marketing moves at a record clip, there are no standard operating procedures for what they do. A localized expert becomes a localized expert. When he leaves, he takes all of that knowledge with him. So every single account, there was no standard. Some accounts did great, other accounts didn't. The difference with us is over here, we're standardizing excellence, right? Our typical account grows maybe 30% right off the bat within the first 2 months without us touching increasing spend or anything like that. We've had double-digit clients that have actually improved triple digits, where we're not increasing their spend by triple digits, we're increasing spend by 20%, and they're making an additional triple-digit returns, right? A recent client, as an example, would be we took them from year one where they were making $47 million. Once we took them, they were at $103 million in revenue. We doubled their revenue. However, we only increased their spend by about 20%. So that's what we do, and we standardize excellence. And how do we do that, right? We run large-scale tests across all of our accounts. So we have these theories, hypotheses, and we'll test it across multiple accounts, see if it works. And when something works, we apply that as a standard operating procedure to all of our accounts. That's sort of how we standardize excellence. And excellence is something that we care about, which is why when we are looking for, providers, right? When we're looking for partners to
Hmm.
actually do our work, we need to vouch and we need to make sure that they actually do great work, which is why we're with you guys. So IT Delight has been doing great work, and we
Thank
are,
you.
we do love using them as a partner. They're always on point. Sure, there's mistakes, but everyone makes mistakes, but they're right on time. Even with the change in the hours, they're still on call. They're still, making timely changes. So yeah, um, that's sort of where we're at right here.
That's awesome, man. You hit on so many great things there, though. I love that you're learning. You're taking the learnings from all of that, right? That massive amount of spend. No single merchant, if you will, could ever have those learnings on their own, right? Because the scale is just not the same in the uniqueness. So, I mean, kudos to the process, right, that you guys are going through, and thanks for kind of teeing it up for me too. I mean, obviously we're here to learn a little bit about working together and all that kind of fun stuff. So, um, tell me a little bit more about that. Right, you started to dive into what's important to you and kind of like what you build. But what's important when you're looking for other vendors or other people to come join your team, essentially, right? I mean, you could hire internally, you could grow. That's one path. You could, you can outsource, if you will. You can bring somebody like ourselves in. What is it that you're after? What are you looking for in that type of group?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I would say, but kind of to summarize the 2 points. One
Okay.
would be ownership. So
Okay.
we're looking for folks who come in and truly own their tasks, right? If we wanted to hire a company that we're just throwing items to, I'll go to Upwork. I'll find
Yeah.
a solo entrepreneur Indian from India who can just come in and work on this for us at $8 an hour. We can do something like that. But
Yep.
that's not ownership. That you can find that that's a dime a dozen. We want folks who will fix issues or understand issues that we don't understand because we're not the web dev folks. We're marketing folks.
Yeah.
We assign a task. We don't know all the stipulations that come with it. So we want folks who actually own the whole thing and want to see it from inception to completion. This is where sort of
Mhm.
Dimitri on your team has been doing great at, which is, there's things we miss. He'll come in and say, hey, are you sure you want to do X, Y, Z? This is what it is. And he owns the whole thing, which is great about IT Delay, right? So
Nice.
if anyone's listening, Dimitri is the main person we've been working with, and he has been great at sort of what he's good at. The next thing that we also care about is a true partnership, right? A partnership versus a sort of a contracting slash consulting sort
Yeah.
of collaboration. A partnership is where again we want to truly see the success of the account, whether it is web dev or marketing or whatever it is. And Dimitri has been on call even during his break times and things like that. And it does seem like
Nice.
a true partnership, and that is what we truly do go after. So those two, and then really just again finishing the task, right? It's
Yeah.
and you guys are getting that done too. So
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, ownership for sure, right? It's difficult, right? Like you said, I mean, you go to these various other solutions like Upwork. You can find freelancers. You can do it. But having somebody who feels like a part of the team, who feels like, at least from the clients that I've worked with, I found like the ones that have been the most successful are the ones where I dive in and I feel like I'm part of their team too, right? So how do you do that, right? How do you take somebody who's external like us and maybe even across the big blue ocean here, and include them as part of your project team so that customer feels like they're getting taken care of?
yeah, well, and that's I would say tough, right? So
Yeah.
internally we can standardize that. So in terms of a partnership itself and finding a partner who can do that for us, I think that really truly is a, try it and see what happens. It's very, I think, people orientated. Um, the meet, and I'll give you examples of how IT Delight and Dimitri does it, whether it is hopping on our video calls with us during his off
Mhm.
hours and really going through the ropes and trying to help us figure out how to do things.
Mhm.
Or whether it is, warning us beforehand that some of our ideas aren't the best ones, right? That is more of a
Right.
partnership where versus us assigning tasks and them saying, hey, Dimitri saying, hey, this is I get off at 5, I'm done. I am not helping you with your account anymore. Or we're
Right.
assigning a task and he knows it's wrong and he's not going to go correct us or tell us what to do to fix it, right? So,
Yep.
or even how to save on hours, right? Dimitri will give us
Yeah.
scenarios where it's like, hey, if you did this, it's way more hours. And that truly shows that he cares not just about, your bottom line or his bottom line, but truly everyone's bottom line so that we can make this a successful partnership.
Yeah, no, good points. I mean, I think that's an incredibly important part of it, right? It's so many companies, so many even freelancers, so many, agencies out there. It's about how do they maximize the revenue that ultimately comes in, right? I think it's an important thing to take a look at that and make sure you find a partner that says this isn't about revenue per job, right? This is about the lifetime of a relationship that we're going to be able to kind of build together. And sometimes that means you take less today for a better tomorrow, right?
Exactly. And I like that phrase. That actually nails it right on the head. So
That's awesome, man. You I mean, and you brought up a couple of things, right? It's like sometimes it's not always the easiest thing for somebody to come back in and say, hey, let's not go that route because this is why, when you're thinking, this is what we've always done. Or any I guess recommendations, any thoughts to maybe those agencies like yourselves or merchants, if you will, that are out there who are in that boat where they're, you have a developer, excuse me, or someone coming to you saying, let's look at this in a different way. Any suggestions on how you listen to those and how you look at those? Because they may be wrong, but they might be right.
And I think that is more of a people process, right? So on our side, at least, we kind of made it so it's more of a meritocracy where the people on the lower end aren't afraid to give insight to the folks on the top end. So this is our culture. So when we have a partner that can come in and say that stuff to us, that is our culture. So we take that as, constructive criticism or as ideas versus a bad idea and getting emotionally attacked from it, right? So I think you have to build that into your culture. A lot of, and I do have a bunch of agency friends, and I still do keep in contact with my old my higher ups at the other agencies, and they don't, they still, one, it's hard for most folks to take criticism, and then two, they are still all about the numbers, right? How do we instill something where it's not just about the numbers, but it's more about the true partnership? That all comes from the top down, from the culture, and it really has to be put into sort of play for the company. Otherwise, I mean, there's thousands, I don't freaking know, tens of thousands of agencies out there. What makes you so special? What what separates you apart? And for a lot of companies, it isn't. It's just a Me Too company. So you can either try to sell more, or you can try to be better, which is be a partner, so that is an easy way to get more clients.
Oh, that's interesting. One of the challenges, I'll throw out maybe a scenario here, because, a lot of the merchants and people that we work with directly, in fact, it happens less on the agency side, a whole lot more on the merchant side, right? It's let's fix the cost of everything we do, right? That's what they want. They want to see we can't have a project that balloons. We can't have, we just want to know exactly what it's going to be. That there's some pros to that and there's some cons to ultimately how that goes. But, when you've got someone looking at a development partner, trying to come in, and maybe that's the holdup, right? They're trying to say, let's see how low I can get this price. Let's see how low, what might you suggest to them, in terms of how you evaluate a development partner on maybe factors that are not just about price?
Yeah, so well, there's a couple ways, Rich, and just as a segue, the IT delay, your price is actually amazing compared to, say, so just so that
Thanks.
everyone knows, this is, nothing to do with pricing, at least on this side, right?
Yeah.
But it's I would say, again, interview them on the questions. One is find out who's on the account, but two is, are these folks personable, right? Like, in a couple of lists of questions that we normally would try to ask is, all right, well, how do you handle client emergencies when it's during off hours? What else do you do when there's X, Y, and Z difficult situations for X, Y, your past clients? Or we'll ask for references, which we did with you guys, and then we'll reach out to them and see, what they're about. So there's a couple of ways. Use ChatGPT, find them questions.
Yeah. Why not, right?
Yes.
That's really cool. As you went through the course of your projects with us, there's learnings on both sides, right? I mean, we're learning from you. you guys are incredible marketers. You've got an amazing process, right? And we're seeing how we should change some of our development ideas in order to reflect a better goal, the better marketing goals that you guys are ultimately going to implement. And I think those are some of the things that we're learning as we go through working with people like yourselves, right? And then of course that gets applied, towards everybody we work with. What were maybe some of those challenges, if you will, that you came across, or how did we work through maybe some of those challenges that we came across?
So, you know, a lot of things I'd say, again, you really do have to, I guess, speak your opinion or at least ask for what you want to ask for. And if there is some middle ground in terms of, us using a web dev company or using a partner, then great. And if not, then what usually ends up happening is you move different ways, right? So, but like, yeah, usually, again, with you guys, there has not been anything, no arguments, nothing hard to ever even. There has been no, hard conversations where I had to go to, I forgot already, the higher up rep. I forgot his name, but I never had to go to anyone and say, hey, Dimitri isn't doing his job, or Dimitri isn't around, or Dimitri isn't doing X, Y, Z. You guys have always done everything. Sure, has there been mistakes? But yeah, again, we make mistakes too. And then when there's we bring it up and it gets fixed right away. So,
that's great. I think kudos to you guys, right? I mean, I think you're building the type of culture, both with the, those who are coming in to help, as well as those who you've got, working with you directly, where like you talked about earlier, right? It's a culture of we're all trying to move forward, right? We're all trying to, be unique, try different things. I mean, I think, you can speak to marketing better than I can, but from my experience from e-commerce marketing, it seems like when everybody goes down one road, I'm always looking for what's the other way, right? Like, because, just because everyone does one thing means that there's some empty space over here. And right. And I've always been a proponent of saying that, Google, for example, rewards those who are unique. So be unique in some way.
And you're absolutely right. That is another one of our values that we have, right? Be contrarians. If you want to, so we focus on learning, we focus on knowledge. Everyone is required to stay up to date with the latest blogs from SEM Rush, from Search Engine Land, from Search Engine World. They're forced and required to understand it and read it. However, the difference with us is we have them understand it so they can think on it and do what's different. Because if we're doing the same thing as everyone else, which means we're average, we get average results. You want extraordinary results, you better do extraordinary shit.
100%. I think, the one thing that always stands out to me, right, is it's like, look for someone who's going to partner, who's going to care about you. Well, Darwin, thank you for sharing a little bit about your experience with us. And honestly, I appreciate your kind words. As we go into these, I never exactly know how it's going to go. I'm sure I appreciate your kindness, and again, nothing's ever perfect, but at the same time, I think we work hard to understand and try to, solve what we can. And that's the one thing, Igor, who's our founder and CEO, the one thing that I have always appreciated, in fact, this is what attracted me to join him, down this venture here as IT Delight expands through the United States and beyond, is the customers that I talk to, right? Everyone seems to say, they went above and beyond in order to actually achieve what we needed to achieve. And I think that's critical, right? None of us scope right 100% of the time, right? There's always things that come up. It's e-commerce. By the time you've started to the time you've changed, something changed anyway, right? So what is changing? But as we kind of wrap up, I would say this. I mean, you are an incredible marketing mind. Know we've got merchants listening in. Any tips, tricks, suggestions, anything maybe just kind of to end us on that gets you excited about e-commerce marketing and gives them something to think about?
Yeah, I'd say a couple of points would be this, right? And we're giving our secret sauce. Well, not really. It really goes back to the first point, or the point we made maybe about 5 minutes ago, which is do something different. Don't be afraid to go against Google's recommendations, right? Like, just put yourself in whoever's shoes it is, whether it's Google's shoes or client's shoes or the agency's shoes,
Yeah.
figure out what their goals are, right? Google's goals are trying to get more, generate as much revenue for themselves, by the way. So, yeah, do something different versus what you normally do. Don't be afraid to test it, because all those little tests that you do, majority of them will fail, but the one that actually does work will bring 20, 30, 40% incremental revenue for all of your clients, right? So zig when other folks would zag. Be a contrarian, do different stuff. Um, what I'm excited about really is this talk about AI and what it can do for us and sort of moving into the future. I know, when it first came out, a lot of the folks at X was kind of afraid, thinking AI was going to take their job, but I just used ChatGPT to write this speech, this 2024 leadership speech, and it came out absolutely horrible. So that's just a segue into sort of AI is here, but it's not, AI won't take your job if you can try to understand how to use AI and how to control AI versus letting AI, use you. So for us, we think about how AI can benefit you, right? Over at X, AI has really streamlined a bunch of our processes, whether it is content, whether it is summarizing items, whether it is turning bullet points into professional agendas. But for us, it is going to save us a good amount of efficiency, and in the long run, revenue. It will increase our revenue and profit. So think about AI more as a tool for you, and not as something that's going to come in and take your job and take over Earth or whatever it is.
But no, man, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing a little bit of knowledge. Thanks for sharing your time. And I really appreciate you.
No, thanks for having me, man. This was actually pretty fun. So, thank you for again, clearly setting this up, but thank you for the whole IT Delight team for doing amazing work and being a true partner to X Agency.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. Thanks for having us. Thanks,
Thank
Darwin.
you. Yep.
Talk to you
Bye,
soon,
Rin.
man.